So I graduated from Punjab University. I did my engineering there. So almost immediately I knew that coding was not something that came to me naturally. I was not good at coding and I was not interested also. So only then I decided that I wanted to do something else. I liked my college. I liked coding also, but it just wasn't something that I was good at. Parallelly, I was also into, so I had my Instagram page and I wrote some quotes, I wrote some poetry there. And I love to eat, I love to go out. So I just posted wherever I went, whatever dishes I was trying. So I was also seeing the influencer side of it in a smaller scale. I had about 30-40,000 followers when I was in college. So I was into influencer marketing already without knowing what is influencer marketing, what is social media marketing, just by having an Instagram page. So that was my personal journey also. And it all sort of collided into this. I like storytelling. I love social media as well. And all of this came into Kyra. And that's what you see as the final product.
Hey, this is your host Meenakshi Srivastava, also known as MyBohoVoyage, and I welcome you to another amazing episode of Inspiring Explorers. And as the name suggests, Inspiring Explorers is all about inspiring you with the inspiring life journeys of some of the most successful personalities from around the world, and they also share with us some interesting travel experiences that are not limited to sightseeing. For this episode of Inspiring Explorers, we have an inspiring explorer who created something straight out of Netflix Black Mirror episodes. That's right, our today's guest is the creator of India's first ever virtual influencer, Kyra, that lives in the Metaverse but is a very famous and loved virtual influencer in the real world. Himanshu Goel, along with George Tharian, is the co-founder of FUTR Studios, India's first virtual human company, and the creator of India's first ever virtual influencer, Kyra, who has over 215,000 plus followers on Instagram as I speak of it. Virtual influencers are digital characters designed to look and act just like real humans with their own unique personalities, features, interests, and lifestyles. Virtual influencers are pretty famous around the world nowadays, with the rise in the artificial intelligence technology, and many countries including USA, Japan, South Korea, and many more have their own virtual influencers. And now thanks to Himanshu Goel and George Tharian, India has its own very virtual influencer as Kyra. As soon as Kyra was launched, it captured the interest of many and has been featured on many esteemed news channels like ABP News, The Hindustan Times, GQ India, Scoop Whoop India Today, One India News, and many, many more. And has already collaborated with many big brands like Boat, Budweiser India, Sunfeast, Travel and Leisure Magazine, and more. Apart from that, Himanshu is also an author and poet of some amazing books like Tulsi, A Rational Boy in Love, A Lonely World, etc. And recently I got a chance to meet him in the Delhi World Book Fair 2023, where he signed his new book for me named A Lonely World. In this episode, Himanshu will share his story and insights into the world of virtual influencers, technology, future of AI and virtual influencers, and creativity. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by Himanshu Goel on the Inspiring Explorers podcast. And before we start this episode, let me tell you that you can watch all my Inspiring Explorer episodes on my YouTube channel named MyBohoVoyage, or you can listen to them on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Just search for Inspiring Explorers on the apps and you'll find the show. Also, come connect with me on Instagram at @MyBohoVoyage to catch me and my guests go live on Instagram. So without any further ado, let me welcome our amazing guest for today, Himanshu Goel. So welcome to Inspiring Explorers, Himanshu. Super glad to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So firstly, to clear out who really is Kyra, a lot of people are still confused with who Kyra really is. Is she an AI, a robot, a virtual reality? What exactly is Kyra?
Right. So Kyra as a person does not exist. There is no one that looks like Kyra. So you can't find anyone in India that maybe there is a doppelganger out there, but we haven't found any and no one has come forward. Kyra is a CGI image. So it's completely generated by a graphics engine. So how you create a CGI image is actually in 3D modeling. you give a structure to it, and then you give texture. So just like our skin has texture, it has a material. We have given the same material. We have given her skin, we have given her pores also, we have given her color. Everything has been given by us. How we took inspiration for Kyra is because the first character that we designed was a model. So we looked at popular Indian models in her age. So we took inspiration from different places for her hair, for her features, for the kind of smile she has. So that's how we have designed Kyra. And it's like we had 4 or 5 different iterations, and this is the final one that you see. And it looks like a person, and then it's like what actually makes a person, right? It's skin, it's bones, it's flesh. So we have created something similar in a 3D environment.
She does look like a person. To be honest, the first time when I saw her was on a travel and leisure magazine. Like, I saw the ad on Instagram and I was like mind blown. For a second, I did not really know that this was not an actual human. So,
Right,
like,
absolutely.
like, amazing job on that. Like, otherwise you might you can figure out virtual realities or metaverse, but then Kyra did not, in the first look, did not look like she's not human. So I had to research to know that, okay, she's not human.
It's how advanced 3D technology is right now in 2023, that it has developed to such a stage that you're not able to distinguish. And in a few more years, it will become even more realistic.
You mean the lines would blur out completely?
It is already blurring, and it will completely blur out in the next few years.
Cool. So, like, Kyra also comes out as a meta influencer. So, how did you
Right.
come up with the idea of like getting her into an influencer field?
Right. So we actually were in the influencer marketing space for 4 years. So I used to be part of an influencer agency called Top Social, and we manage influencer campaigns. I have worked with hundreds of influencers myself for brand campaigns. So we were totally in the influencer space already. And we saw that influencer agencies, it was a crowded business. There were a lot of influencer agencies, and the margins kept getting lesser and lesser, and we wanted to do something innovative. So in 2021 and 2022, we stumbled upon this concept called virtual influencers, and there were people doing it in the US, in Japan, and we thought the potential for this in India is massive, because if a concept like this is accepted by Indians, we can, if the US one has millions of followers, we can have even more. We can have tens of millions of followers. So that's how the journey started. We were already in the influencer space. We wanted to do something innovative, and that's why we started working on it. And thankfully, the people responded and accepted the concept.
Exactly. That must have been a risk when you started Kyra in India. Like, bringing Kyra in must have been a risk for you. So, what was those challenges bringing Kyra as a virtual influencer in Indian market?
Right. So I would say that Indians at this stage, we are actually quite accepting of new technology. If you look at the example of even OTT, there are regional OTT platforms. If you look at UPI, we have accepted UPI so well. And even the people in the older age groups, they are actually quite actively using WhatsApp and Facebook. But the concept of a virtual influencer is, besides tech also, right? It's a weird concept that you're following a person that does not exist. So we were skeptical when we started. Would people follow her? Would people like the content? Would people be able to tell if she's real or not? So that was a risk, and it took a lot of effort and time to create her before we put her in the market. And it wasn't like when we launched her, it was instant acceptance that overnight we grew hundreds of followers. It took about 6 months for us to reach 100,000. And before that, we were just slowly building our followership. So it was definitely a risk. And we see that people like this concept, that people want to have some creative storytelling with virtual influencers. And I think we'll see a lot more virtual influencers and virtual production in India rise in the next 2 to 3 years.
Definitely. I think in the field of metaverse as well, India is like acing that game as well. I see a lot of people from Bangalore doing a lot of metaverse things and buying lands, making Bangalore in metaverse. So that's cool
Right.
enough. Yeah. Right. So Kyra is also the first meta influencer of India. How many other countries have meta influencers, virtual influencers?
So I would not know how many countries. So
Okay.
there's a website called virtualhumans.org.
Okay.
According to that website, there are over 200 virtual influencers.
Wow.
And almost like every month, I see a new country have created their own virtual influencer. So if you look at, there's a new meta influencer in the Middle East, there is a new meta influencer in Thailand. So almost every country has their own virtual influencer. So US have their own biggest virtual influencer. Korea have their own virtual influencers. There are certain countries that have bigger presence of virtual influencers than other countries because they have more population, they have more tech, etc. But I would say almost all the major countries, a meta influencer does exist there, and there are varied degrees of success for all of them.
Exactly. I did see the Korea one and America one, so they
Yes.
were pretty cool too. So cool. I did not know that all of it. There were
They have been
200.
there. The US one has been there for over 6 to 7 years now. The
Wow.
Korea one also has been there for, I think, 3 to 4 years. So they have had time to better the quality and work with a lot of brands, build a large followership. So definitely their work is good and something that we keep following to keep up with the trends and to benchmark us against the top virtual influencers.
Exactly. And all the best to that. I like my best wishes are with you because I think Kyra has a lot of scope. She's already amazing, and especially when she travels India. So I want to ask that, like a normal influencer, if they say that they are in Agra, they post up a photo or a video or reel with Agra. It's easier for them in that location. But when you do collaborations and when Kyra goes into places, so that takes a lot of behind the scenes work. So could you tell us the challenges, that the process that goes behind the scene with Kyra and the work that goes behind all of this?
Right. So there are challenges and there are advantages also. For example, for popular destination, we don't need to go anywhere. There are plenty of images available, or we can get someone from that city to send us the photos that we want. And we can do it we can do everything remotely. So there are two ways to capture a place. Either we build the place in 3D, so we did something in Jaipur. We built a corridor in Amer Fort virtually. So all the pillars, the floor, everything we did in 3D. There was no image that was present. So that is a challenging aspect, and we have some really talented 3D artists who do that. The second option is that we, similar to a green screen, we place photo in the background, but that's not true 3D. That's just a photo of the place in the background. So the first one is something that's quite challenging. It's quite fun also. And once you build that 3D land, you can either make it in the metaverse, you can either make it in a game, you can make it in a 3D animated video. Once you have that 3D asset, you can use it anywhere. The initial part of building that is quite resource intensive, but the use cases are plenty after that.
Okay, so like, do you also use it again and again, like you said, for games, etc.? Do you also design that in
Right.
future studios?
So far we are using it for our social media, for our content. So if we have built that fourth place, we can use it again. We can use it 2 years down the line also. If we have built a mountains in the 3D, so we have built trees in a 3D environment, we have built flowers in a 3D environment, we can use it again and again. So for us, it's quite useful. In games or in metaverses, we are still experimenting. It's still in the demo phase. We have tried it, but we haven't taken it live anywhere. But we are pretty sure in the next year, or even in this year, we'll be using those assets in games, in metaverses, etc.
That's awesome. So like future studios is also working towards these things.
Right. So our focus is on the virtual influencer. So we
Okay.
want to keep our focus on building Kyra and getting her more audience, getting her to all these places. So we would like to be part of the other games. We would like her to be part of metaverses rather than build the metaverses ourselves. But there are certain assets that we can go there. But our focus will be on building Kyra, building Kyra's personality, building Kyra's wardrobe, and everything related to that.
That's wonderful. And when you talk about, like you said, you made 3D places of all the famous places, that's easier. But when we talk about, Kyra has also collaborated with very huge brands, like a lot of, like Abhi Sunfeast ka she did an ad and she made her own recipe. So
Right.
what challenges go behind with the meta influencers creators creating that world and for collaborating with these brands?
Right. So, first of all, we did not know if brands would be interested to work with Kyra or not. It has worked in other countries, but we did not know if Indian brands would. Thankfully, like the current brands and even some legacy brands, they're quite open to having new marketing innovation, trying new stuff in their marketing. So we have received a great response from all the brands. How we see brand collaborations is not just put a product in Kyra's hand and show it. We really see, and that's the potential of a virtual influencer, that we can do something very innovative, very creative, that you could not do very easily with a regular influencer shoot. For example, the first brand collaboration we did was with Boat. So we promoted their wireless neckband, and the film that we created, it was in a futuristic science fiction-esque place. So we built a futuristic place, we built a spaceship. She was teleported to the future. It looked like a very futuristic sci-fi ad almost. So that's very difficult to do with a regular influencer. You'll have to do a very heavy shoot. So that's how we are looking at brand collaborations, to do something very innovative, very unique. And with a virtual influencer, everything is possible. We did something where Kyra went to Lollapalooza with Budweiser, and we
Yeah.
made her supersized. So she's looking over the audience. She's bigger than the stage, and that is very easy to do. And that's 3D. That's not Photoshop. We have actually, so we have the photo, and we built her into a 10x, 100x size. So there is a lot of creativity, and as marketers, we love to do such campaigns. And even the Sunfeast one was an interesting one, because that is something very regular influencer like video. So that was actually also challenging, because we had to make, so the biscuit, we had to create a 3D file for that biscuit. So we scanned it using an iPhone, and we had to build the kitchen environment. So even the regular one was challenging. So it's like, currently you cannot beat a regular influencer who can shoot a video with their iPhone. The production cost for that is zero. But if it's a very heavy shoot, having a virtual influencer has an advantage, that you can do more stuff, you can be more creative. A regular shoot currently at this stage, a regular influencer would be able to do it quicker and at a much cheaper production cost. So there are challenges. Even for a regular photo, you have to put in a lot of resources. For a video, you have to put a lot of resources. The graphics required for that, the rendering required for that, requires a lot of powerful hardware. So there are challenges like that, but there are creative advantages also.
Exactly. I see Kyra having a lot of scope as well, because she being virtual and then she has a story of coming from Metaverse. So
Right.
she can travel in both the worlds firstly, unlike the
Right.
real influencers. Also, she can go to space. Like if she can travel not just the world, but she can also go to different places in the universe. That's like,
Right. And we think all these technologies, they will spill over to regular influencers also. So
yeah.
already they are using green screen, they're using all the tech that's available. I think once 3D gets to the level that everyone is able to use it at a user friendly level, just like we use filters, you will see creators also going to space. You'll see creators also going to metaverse.
Yeah.
Kyra has that distinct advantage because she's native, so 3D native. She can be used anywhere and everywhere. But I see regular influencers also using technology very in the very near future and do all the similar things.
Yeah, they also made a movie on this. I don't remember the name, but they made avatars, and you could go in that game, and then it was similar. The entire concept was similar to
Ready Player
Metaverse.
One.
Ready Player One, yes, yes,
So
that
there
was
is
the
a
name.
metaverse concept and there is a virtual influencer concept. We think virtual influencer, even when you do not look at the metaverse, there is a lot of storytelling potential. You can tell stories. So most of our time is spent on social media.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're following the story of a fictional character. If you create the profile of Harry Potter, what would it look like? So it's similar to that. It works with or without metaverse. The metaverse is an interesting concept. We don't know how much people will adapt to it. We still believe it's in the future, and maybe with the help of virtual reality, it'll get accepted more and more. in that, then that's the idea, that you can stay with Harry Potter, you can talk with Harry Potter, you can live with Harry Potter, see their life in real time. So those
Yeah.
are the two concepts, and that potential is obviously huge.
Yeah, true. I see that with Kyra. Like Kyra has a lot of fans, true. And she
Right.
gets a lot of comments on, why is she like she's not real and yet I love her. So I see those comments a lot from Indians.
We
And
have
that's
to be careful about that people don't start loving a virtual character.
they already do, I think, in a lot of things, like of course with animes and K-dramas, of course.
Right.
They are already in love with illusionary, imaginative characters. So I think
But they
like
should know that it's a virtual character. So we also, the first line that we mention is that she's a meta
yeah.
influencer.
Yeah.
So they should know it's a virtual character they are seeing.
Obviously, like Kyra also told that she's from Metaverse. So
Right.
I think people should know that. But yeah,
There is a scary part to it, that
okay.
we believe in disclosure, that we have to tell the audience that what you're seeing is a virtual character. But there are once the technology is more accessible, people will start developing accounts and they will never disclose. So people can get fooled, people could get scammed also if they start asking for money through that account.
Exactly.
So I think there is need of an intervention of probably either Instagram or advertising body to limit these, to identify these. So that is like something
Yeah,
that has to be taken care of in the future as this
exactly.
technology becomes more accessible.
That would be really like, now how are they going to distinguish between like humans and robots? Like otherwise they ask us to, who are you? Okay, cool.
Right? So it is a scary future. So like
Yeah.
anything, we need some sort of regulation in this.
I think they'll come up with this because already, if there are so many virtual influencers, I think they should come up with some idea like that. I think soon in the future they'll do that. Already, Metaverse is evolving so much. So, can Kyra in the future be able to like collaborate with real influencers ever?
Right. So she can. We are just looking for the right campaign, the right person or influencer to work with. She already can. We're just waiting for the right script to say, so to say.
Wow, I hope she gets it soon. That would be even cool. Like seeing a virtual body with a human body
Right.
together in
Even
one.
we are excited to do.
Yeah, that would be even more mind blowing. Now, that
He
would
has
blur
already
the lines even more.
partnered with another virtual character. So MG Motors have a mascot called Avira.
Oh,
So
yes, yes, she
he
did.
has
I saw
already
that.
met Avira in the MG verse, which is their metaverse. So already virtual characters are already meeting, and definitely it'll be something very nice to have a real person and a virtual character meet up in the metaverse or in the real life.
Exactly. That would be super cool to like, that would again blur the line between the reality and the virtual reality. That would be amazing to see it. Also, Kyra participated in a fashion show in Metaverse. How was
She
that?
has a part, so I think that was a misreporting on one of the
Ah,
publications part. So
okay.
that part we were actually so the fashion week was going on, and we posted a fashion look for Kyra, inspired by the fashion week that was going on. And I think one of the publications misreported that she was part of the Metaverse Fashion Week.
They did, and I saw that. So that's why I was like very
Right.
curious with if that happened, that would have been again cool. That would
It,
again
it,
change the marketing
uh,
so much.
it is going to happen. We have already, like you mentioned, we have been featured in the cover of Travel and Leisure. Uh,
Yes.
so it's already, we are getting a lot of interest from media, and we were actually surprised. So one of our videos got viral, and almost all the top publications of India have covered Kyra, and we never paid, we never talked with these publications. It was all organic because they saw the concept, they liked the content that we were putting out. So the media interest is huge in
True.
Canada.
Yeah, Kyra has been in a lot of media coverages. I see Travel and Leisure again, boat. You've also like worked with Amazon Prime as well as Z News, India TV, Scoop Whoop, whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, like Kyra has been very famous, more than any influencers. Like the regular ones, she's like doing a lot of good stuff there out there. So, how did you come into the journey of Kyra? Like, of course, you came up with the idea of Kyra, and George and you worked together on this, but like you were an engineer. So how did you come up with the idea of like not being into engineering, but coming into creating a virtual influencer altogether?
Right. So I graduated from Punjab University. I did my engineering there. So almost immediately I knew that coding was not something that came to me naturally. I was not good at coding and I was not interested also. So only then I decided that I wanted to do something else. I liked my college. I liked coding also, but it just wasn't something that I was good at. So then only that I decided that I wasn't going to do sort of like an Infosys TCS job. So I prepared for my MBA exam and I got into MICA Ahmedabad. So that's a marketing college in Ahmedabad. I did my MBA there and George was my batchmate there. So both of us got into a company that was into marketing. That's how the shift from engineering to marketing came. And MICA was a great college. We learned a lot about marketing. We met a lot of great people in our batch and our seniors. So after that, we did social media influencer, like I shared. That's how the switch from engineering to marketing to Kyra came. Parallelly, I was also into, so I had my Instagram page and I wrote some quotes, I wrote some poetry there. And I also posted some food blog. Like I love to eat, I love to go out. So I just posted wherever I went, whatever dishes I was trying. So I was also seeing the influencer side of it in a smaller scale. I had about 30-40,000 followers when I was in college. So I was into influencer marketing already without knowing what is influencer marketing, what is social media marketing, just by having an Instagram page. So that was my personal journey also. And it all sort of collided into this. I like storytelling. I love social media as well. And all of this came into Kyra. And that's what you see as the final product.
Exactly. And also when you write, like you are also a writer. So
Right.
your first book was Tulsi, which again is about virtual world, the
It's about a
futuristic
sci-fi world, right? So I was
sci-fi. Yeah.
reading a lot of science fiction then.
Okay.
I was reading Douglas Adams. I was reading so Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy is one of the books that I like. I was reading fantasy books. I really like the Witcher book, which is a popular game series, book series. So I read a lot of science fiction and fantasy. And that's when I wrote Tulsi. I was still in college when it was published. So I wrote it in the final year of my engineering and published it in the first year of my MBA.
That's so cool. You have a very smart brain.
It's I won't say very smart. It's like you have to stay consistent. You have to. So it took me 4-5 months. So you have to consistently write every day, edit every day. So smartness, I would say, it's like every other engineer. They're much smarter people than me. The consistency part is quite important, especially when writing a book, because writing a 200 to 50 page book takes a lot of time and effort.
Also, a lot of people procrastinate while writing. So, yeah.
It is difficult. Like even I procrastinate. It's not like I instantly sit down and go on writing. It takes a lot of time.
Cool. Then we are not alone. Procrastinating while
Everyone
writing.
everyone procrastinates.
All right. So, like with Kyra, also, when you mentioned that she has done travel and leisure, so who comes out with like the plans for places? Like she loves traveling, she has mentioned in her Instagram. So, who
Right.
comes up with the ideas of who likes traveling really? Her creators?
Right. So we have a team of content creators, fashion designers, and of course our 3D uh, team. So one of the lead designers of Kyra is Ashish. He's from Dehradun. He also loves traveling. So we have a lot of travelers in our team. And for example, for travel and leisure, we worked with the travel and leisure team that at that time Run of Kutch was something that everyone was going to. And that is a place that will look great with Kyra. It's a very surreal place. It's one of those places that looks like a metaverse in the real life.
True.
So that's how we picked that place. We love the mountains, we love the beaches. So almost everyone in our team loves traveling, and that's how we work together to see what the next destination should be.
So, if I ask you any travel experiences that are funny and weird or stayed with you, anything that you would like to share, please share with us.
Right. So I will have to think about funny and weird. I
Okay.
really love traveling to Rajasthan.
Okay.
So Udaipur, Jaipur, some of my favorite places. The weird part is like you look at all the photos online, it's very like no one is there, and then you go to the place and some of these places are so crowded.
Yeah.
The real life versus the expectation is quite different. So
Hmm.
that's quite funny that people are almost, it's going like a stampede is going on at some of
Yeah, that's true.
the places.
Especially with Rajasthan, when you mention, I think if you would even ask foreigners what place do you want to travel in India, it's always Taj Mahal, it's always Rajasthan, it's always
Right,
Udaipur. So you would always see a lot of crowd in these places because these are very famous. And nowadays it's like even the mountains are very crowded.
right. So I like from usually first it was like going to these monuments, checking the beautiful places, beautiful heritage. Now it's more like I want to go to a place where I can relax. So a beach, Goa, Pondicherry, somewhere, some place that I haven't gone yet, but I want to go. So some place which is more quiet, where I can relax. And previously I used to be like, let's check all the monuments. Now I'm like, let's just go to one, two places, and rest of the day let's just take our time at that place, then relax back at the resort or hotel or whatever. So that's how the journey has been, from a busy traveler to a more relaxed traveler.
I think mostly people now switch towards that only. It's not about, it's more about leisure time with ourselves,
Right.
running away. Like, yeah. Where all have you traveled anyway?
I've traveled to Goa, Jaipur, Kolkata, Varanasi. So all of India is such a diverse country, right? Like
It's also beautiful and
also
experiences in these places. I think I'm sure you would have had some in Banaras. I'm very sure you would have had
it's a
something.
crazy place, and the food. I think the best food that I tasted was in Varanasi. So the street food there, the kachoris there, that was the best food that I had tasted.
All right. So, okay. So, when Kyra, when we talk about virtual influencing, so what do you think is the future of virtual influencing in India, as well as what effect will it have with, the regular influencers that are human?
Right. So the future of virtual influencers, I don't think I have the answer of what it's going to be, because there are a lot of uncertainties when it comes to AI, when it comes to metaverse. It is going to be a big thing. It is going to be the future. But how it will shape out, we still have to see. I think AI will play a huge part in it. Even we are working on something to integrate AI into Kyra, which will enable virtual influencers to talk and respond without the need of a human being. So
Wow.
currently we have a team of dedicated content and design people working on her. After some time, she'll be able to do everything on her own. And what we have seen with the progress of chat gpt very recently is taking everyone by storm. It might be sooner than we think. So
Yeah.
definitely AI will play a huge part. And India, because of the mass that we have, we can do things at a scale where no one else can. So when we have celebrities, their scale is huge. You cannot compare it to a US celebrity. So if a virtual influencer is picked up by people, Kyra is still at a very small scale relatively right now. But if it's picked by the national audience, it can be something where everyone on the street knows the story of a virtual character and they're following her. So the it will be similar to what you have seen with the K-pop artists and the K-pop fandom, where people are crazy all over the world for the top bands, and it could be something similar for a virtual character. So it's a bright future for sure. There are some uncertainties that what will happen with AI, what will happen with metaverse, and we have to be careful also about the scary parts of it, that people might get fooled, people might misuse the technology. So it's an exciting and a scary future.
Well, with technology, that's always the thing. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think even in the movies are not wrong sometimes when they talk about all
We
this.
are following, like we are getting inspired and following the movies, and let's just hope it's like a good science fiction movie, not a Terminator kind of story.
Exactly. I think even the
The
Matrix,
Matrix.
yeah. I think the new part was boring, but then otherwise, the first time when I
Matrix is one of my favorite movies as well.
yeah, it was nice.
It is like, even talking about the Matrix, we have built a virtual influencer. Let's say we make another one and we build this metaverse. So if they are talking to each other, we are sort of the people who have given birth to these two characters, they're talking and they do not know they are in the Matrix. So we are already the metaverse is sort of like a Matrix concept.
Cool. That's a new perspective on that we have already created humans. Now they have their own brain. Wow. Wow, that's
Right
a
now,
lot.
they do not have sentient brains. They are still like algorithms, but we don't know what will happen in the future.
That's a cool thing to think about all night, I'd say. I think you can write a
It is
book
a
on
crazy
that.
concept, yeah. We are sort of given like what makes us human. It's only the being sentient part of it. Other than that, Kyra has flesh, even though it's in 3D, it's in a computer. She has flesh. She has a personality. Everything is there. Only the sentient part is missing right now.
And once she has that brain of her own, wow, that's gonna be crazy.
We don't know if it's possible, right? We don't know. The whole world is looking for that answer if that is
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, that's crazy though when that happens. Also, one thing where would it be possible that Kyra will be able to take Instagram lives as well? Like,
It is possible. It is
right?
already possible. So whatever you see in the 3D animated or CGI movies, there is a actor in a 3D suit, a motion capture suit, and they can do a live broadcast. It is happening in TV also. So we can do that right now also on an Instagram live. What we want to do is not have that human actor also, to have something where it's completely generated by computer and she's automatically responding on an Instagram live. It has already been done to a certain extent in English by some tech teams in US. So it is already happening where you can talk to a person, she'll respond in real time. So it's already there, and we are working on Kyra to do that as well.
I was thinking that this I think is possible, and that would be so cool to go live with Kyra. You know?
And a virtual character can go live with hundreds of, like, they can talk to hundreds of people at the same time, whereas a human can only talk one to one because there's only one of us, but a virtual character can talk to hundreds at the same time.
Exactly, and that's just so cool. It's like your anime characters coming to life and then talking live to you on Instagram.
Right.
That's so cool. That's so cool. That's amazing. So, any last message that you would like to give to our listeners and viewers?
Right. So first of all, I do check out Kyra. Her Instagram is Kyra on IG. So check her out. Tell us what you think. Give us any feedback. Also, we would appreciate that. And as marketers and storytellers, we would say just use whatever cutting edge technology is out there to tell creative stories. That is what we believe. That is what we like to see.
Exactly, and all the links to Kyra and me and Himanshu will be in the description box below. So do go check them out and follow Kyra. She's just mind blowing, and I think we're gonna see a lot of new things in the virtual world. And thanks to you, Himanshu, that we and George that we have our first virtual influencer of India, and that makes us so proud.
And thanks everyone for following her and supporting her to get us to this place.
So thank you so much, Himanshu. This was an amazing, amazing talk with you and about Kyra. And thank you for showing us the future of, the virtual world and the metaverse. Thank you so much for your time and coming on Inspiring Explorers. So this was Himanshu's inspiring life journey so far, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for giving your precious time to this podcast. If this episode was inspiring and insightful, please do drop a comment on my Instagram and YouTube at @MyBohoVoyage. Also do check out my YouTube channel at @MyBohoVoyage for the video version of this episode. Please do subscribe and give a 5-star rating and hopefully write a review for Inspiring Explorers. Also please don't forget to connect with me on Instagram and YouTube. Drop me a hi or send me a comment so that I know we are in this journey together. This is Meenakshi Srivastava, your host for Inspiring Explorers, saying goodbye. See you next week with an amazing, inspiring interview. Till then, take care.